Let's start with a feeling that I think everyone listening right now knows intimately.
Oh, absolutely.
You're sitting at your desk, or maybe you're just trying to relax on the couch, right?
Mhm.
And your brain feels like a web browser with about 100 tabs open.
Yeah, and the music is playing from one of them and you don't know which one.
Exactly. The fan is whirring, the RAM is totally maxed out, and you have this nagging low-level panic that you are forgetting something. Like maybe it's an email or your mom's birthday or maybe just buying milk.
It really is the modern condition. I mean, we are just drowning in inputs all day long.
We really are. And so for today's deep dive, we are pulling from a few massive foundational sources on productivity, mainly David Allen's Getting Things Done and Tiago Forte's Building a Second Brain. And our mission today is to figure out how to stop that panic.
Right, because the source material argues that this feeling, that constant hum of anxiety we all have, it isn't a failure of your character, it's actually just a failure of your system.
And the core philosophy we're unpacking starts with a quote that honestly, it felt like a personal attack when I first read it.
Huh, I know the exact quote you're talking about.
Yeah. The quote is, "Your brain is for having ideas, not for storing them."
It's such a confrontational idea, isn't it? Because, I mean, we pride ourselves on our memory. We think a good memory means we're smart.
Right.
But biologically speaking, the brain is this incredible processing engine. It is a pattern matching machine. It's a creativity generator. But it is a terrible hard drive.
It's awful.
It is so bad at holding on to static information, like buy milk at 5 p.m. or call the dentist on Tuesday. It's just not built for that.
And that is the crux of it.
Yeah.
Because when you force your brain to hold on to that stuff, those open loops, you are using high-performance computing power to basically hold up sticky notes.
Exactly. You're burning so much energy just trying not to forget things, which leaves you with zero energy to actually do the things.
Which brings us to this really interesting Venn diagram the sources use to describe this. On the left side, you have your brain, and on the right side, you have your system.
And the whole goal here is to aggressively move tasks out of the brain and into the system. They categorize these tasks into 3 types, which I think is a great way to look at it.
Right, so break those down for us.
Sure. So type 1 is the good stuff. That's creativity, being present with your family, solving complex problems. It's the high-level human stuff.
Basically, the reason we actually want to be alive.
Exactly. Then you have type 2, which is just maintenance, calendars, answering emails, paying your bills.
The drudgery.
The necessary drudgery, yeah. And then type 3 is pure storage, like remembering a gate code for your apartment or a random phone number. And the argument is, if your biological brain is bogged down doing type 2 and type 3 work, it is exhausted. It literally has no bandwidth left for type 1.
So the whole mission of our deep dive today is to build a system that handles that drudgery so you can actually be brilliant. And the framework the source material uses, which I absolutely love because I'm a massive nerd, maps this productivity system to the 3 main characters in Harry Potter.
It really sounds like a total gimmick at first, but it's actually a surprisingly perfect metaphor for the hierarchy of needs when it comes to productivity.
It totally is. We are going to build the Ron layer, the Hermione layer, and the Dumbledore layer.
So let's start at the bottom, the absolute foundation, layer 1, the Ron layer.
Poor Ron. He's not the flashiest wizard. He's definitely not the chosen one.
No, he's not. But he is the backbone. The Ron layer is entirely about survival. It's about keeping your life in order so you don't just completely implode.
So this is the layer that prevents you from being that person who is constantly apologizing for missing meetings or forgetting to pay the electric bill, right?
Precisely. If you don't have the Ron layer functioning, you are living in total chaos. The source material breaks the survival layer down into 4 essential components, and the very first one is the calendar.
Now, I feel like everyone listening has a calendar. But the source argues that most people actually use it wrong because they don't trust it.
Trust is the absolute key word here. The rule they emphasize is absolute. If it is not in the calendar, it does not exist.
See, that is terrifying to implement at first because it implies you have to put literally everything in there, not just, meeting with boss at 2 p.m.
Everything. The source talks heavily about active blocking. And this is a huge mental shift for people. You can't just put obligations on your calendar. You have to block out time for the things you actually want to do.
Give me an example of that.
So if you want to write a novel, you need to block out 2 hours on Tuesday morning for it. If you want to maintain a social life, you put Friday night dinner in the calendar as a recurring block.
I think that is exactly where people fail. They leave their leisure time as just white space on the calendar. and they think, oh, that means I'm free. But actually, that white space just gets eaten up by doom scrolling or checking email.
Yeah.
If you don't aggressively defend that time with a block, you lose it.
You absolutely lose it. You have to treat your personal life with the exact same respect that you treat your work life. And there's a technical note here, too, regarding fiction. The source mentions using basic tools like Apple Calendar or Google Calendar, but they heavily recommend adopting scheduling tools like Calendly.
Okay, I have to admit, I resisted this for a long, long time. It felt so cold and impersonal to send a link to a friend. Like, hey, please apply for a slot to speak to me.
A lot of people feel that way. But think about the alternative, the 5-email dance. Are you free Tuesday? No. How about Wednesday? What time? 2 p.m.? No, I have a call then.
Ugh, yes, the worst.
It is pure cognitive waste. Sending a link just says, I value my time and yours. Here's the menu. Pick what works seamlessly. It removes all the friction.
That is a really fair point. It stops your
Yeah.
brain from having to hold on to that open loop of, oh, I still need to finalize that coffee date. Okay, so let's move to the second component of the Ron layer, which is the absolute bane of my existence.
Yeah.
Email.
Yes. Email. The strategy here is one touch to inbox zero. It is a concept that's been championed by productivity experts for years, but honestly, very few people actually do it.
Like, 'cause it sounds impossible.
It takes discipline. The idea is that every single email should only touch your inbox one time.
So you mean you never open it, read it, sigh heavily, and then close it again thinking, I'll deal with that later?
Never. That is the death of productivity. That is just procrastination in disguise. You need
Okay.
a workflow. You open the email. Does it require a meeting? Great. It goes to the calendar, and then you archive the email.
Right.
Does it require an action? It goes to your task manager, and you archive the email. Is it just reference info? Send it to your note-taking app and archive it.
So the inbox is literally just a mailbox, not a filing cabinet.
Yeah.
You don't leave your physical mail in the mailbox at the end of your driveway for 3 weeks. You bring it inside and you sort it.
That is perfectly put. And there's one specific hack the source mentioned here that I thought was just brilliant for cleaning up the noise before you even have to sort it.
Oh, the unsubscribe filter.
Yes.
I set this up immediately after reading the source material. It's
That's
amazing.
a total game changer, isn't it? For those listening, you create a smart filter in Gmail or Outlook that searches for the word unsubscribe. Because if an email has that word at the bottom, it is almost certainly a newsletter or marketing spam. Real humans, your boss, your spouse, your friends, they don't sign off their personal emails with an unsubscribe link.
Right, so you set that filter to automatically skip the inbox entirely and go straight to a read later folder.
Exactly. Suddenly, your phone only buzzes when a distinct human being is actually trying to reach you. It keeps the spam out of your face and protects your attention.
Okay, that brings us to the third component of the survival layer, the to-do list, or the task manager.
The source makes a really critical distinction here. You absolutely need a digital repository for all your tasks, something like Todoist or things, but you cannot run your day out of that app.
Because looking at a list of 150 tasks is just an instant panic attack.
It is entirely paralyzing. So the source suggests a hybrid approach. You use the digital app to capture everything, but for your daily plan, you use a physical notebook or a sticky note, and you pick one daily highlight.
Wait, just one?
Just one single thing that absolutely must happen today. Everything else you want to do goes on a might-do list.
I really love the framing of might do. It lowers the stakes so much, it totally removes the guilt at the end of the day.
It does. But we have to talk about that digital repository for a second. The philosophy here is the 100% coverage rule.
Explain that, because that sounds intense.
It is, but it's necessary. If your system only captures 90% of your tasks, your brain will still be stressed. It knows you are lying to it. It knows there are things missing. So it stays in that hyper-vigilant, stressed-out state, burning energy, trying to hold on to the missing 10%. For the system to give you peace, you have to capture 100%.
So if I'm walking down the street and I suddenly think, oh, I need to buy AA batteries, I have to stop and put it in the app right then.
Right then. Get it out of your head immediately. And this actually leads to my favorite part of the task manager section, the someday maybe list.
Yes, the parking lot for dreams. Like learn to kite surf or build a tree house or learn conversational Italian.
We all have these random aspirations, and if you don't write them down, they just flutter around and clutter your mind. But if you put them on your daily to-do list, they clog up your actual actionable work. So you put them in a dedicated someday maybe list. They're safe, they're captured, but they aren't in your way. You can just review them every 6 months or so.
It clears the RAM. I love that. Okay, the final component of the RON layer is file management, which feels a little dry.
It should be dry. The source is very clear here. Keep it incredibly simple. Don't overcomplicate this with a million nested folders. Just use a reliable cloud storage like Google Drive or Dropbox.
And the key shift here is relying heavily on the search function, right, instead of elaborate organization.
Yes. Search technology is so good now that you do not need an elaborate Dewey Decimal System for your personal files. You just need to know that everything is safely in the cloud. If your laptop gets stolen or falls in a lake, your life is safe. That is the psychological benefit of the RON layer.
Okay, so that is RON. That is basic survival, calendar, email, to-do files. If you have that dialed in, you are functioning. You are not drowning anymore. But we don't just want to survive. We want to thrive. So let's level up to layer 2, the Hermione layer.
The Hermione layer is all about capturing knowledge. It is for the students, the lifelong learners, the people who listen to deep dives like this one.
See, this addresses a very specific pain point for me. I am an absolute information glutton. I devour books, podcasts, long-form articles, but my digestion is terrible. I will read a book that feels totally life-changing in the moment, and 2 months later, I can't quote a single line. It is like I never even read it.
You are definitely not alone there. That is the default human experience. We consume and it just evaporates. Hermione is the system that catches it, and the source material suggests a specific tech stack to solve this evaporation problem. It starts with component 1, which is the Kindle app.
And that's true even if you don't actually own a physical Kindle device, right?
Right. You can use the app on your phone or tablet. The source prefers ebooks specifically because the act of highlighting is so low friction. When you read a physical book, you have to put the book down, find a pen, uncap it, write in the margin, and it breaks your flow. With an ebook, you literally just swipe your finger. You capture the resonance immediately.
But highlights are totally useless if they just stay trapped inside the book. I have hundreds of Kindle books with highlights that I have never, ever looked at again.
And that leads to the wider ecosystem. But before we get to where those highlights go, we need to talk about component 2, the Read It Later app. The source uses Instapaper, but Pocket works perfectly fine too.
This solves what I like to call the toilet trap.
The toilet trap.
Yeah.
Yes, we have all been there. You have 3 minutes of downtime. You open a browser or scroll social media. You see a fascinating, huge, long-form article about, say, the future of artificial intelligence. You start reading it. Suddenly, 20 minutes have passed, your legs are completely numb, and you are late for a meeting.
Or worse, you know you don't have time, so you just skim it really fast, get absolutely nothing of value from it, and close the tab forever.
Correct. The Read It Later app completely separates the discovery of content from the consumption of content. When you find something interesting, you don't read it in that moment. You send it to Instapaper. Then when you actually have a dedicated block of time, maybe during your commute or on a quiet Sunday morning, you open the app and you read your saved articles in a batch.
It stops you from going down those random rabbit holes in the middle of the workday.
Yeah.
It makes your attention intentional instead of reactive.
Exactly. And just like with the Kindle app, you are highlighting the best parts as you read in Instapaper.
Okay, so we are highlighting books, we are highlighting articles on the web. Now we just have digital highlights scattered all over the place.
Enter component 3, Readwise. This is the absolute glue of the Hermione layer. Readwise is an app that acts as a central bridge. It connects to your Kindle, your Instapaper, Apple Books, your Twitter bookmarks, everything. And it automatically pulls all those scattered highlights into one single hub.
So you don't have to manually copy and paste anything.
Zero manual entry. It just runs silently in the background. It aggregates your wisdom. And this is the truly critical part. It can sync those highlights directly into your note-taking app of choice.
So you end up with this highly searchable, massive database of everything that has ever resonated with you. It's basically like building your own personal encyclopedia.
It really is. It ensures that no insight is ever lost. And then the final component of the Hermione layer is very simple, quick capture. The source generally uses Apple Notes for this.
It's just the basic default Notes app.
Yes. The mantra here is minimum viable organization. If you have a random shower thought or you hear of a great snippet of conversation on the street, just capture it. Do not worry about where it belongs or how to tag it yet. Just get it down in text or audio so your brain can let go of it.
Minimum viable organization is such a great phrase. I feel like we always try to make these perfect, beautiful, elaborate systems, but really we just need a net to catch the butterfly before it flies away.
Precisely. Hermione is the net. She catches the ideas.
All right. We've got Ron keeping us functional and alive. We've got Hermione catching the knowledge so we don't forget everything we read. Now we reach the absolute top of the tower, the wizard level, the Dumbledore layer.
This is where things get really magical. This layer is heavily based on the concept of building a second brain by Tiago Forte. This is really designed for the creators, writers, entrepreneurs, researchers, anyone who needs to produce original thought.
So how is this fundamentally different from Hermione? Because Hermione captures the info. What is Dumbledore actually doing?
Hermione is strictly about collection and storage. Dumbledore is about connection. The major shift here is moving from just having a static pile of notes to having a dynamic system that acts as a thought partner.
A thought partner. What does that actually look like?
Well, think about how most people organize their notes. They use folders, a folder for marketing, a folder for psychology. That is just a digital filing cabinet. The Dumbledore approach uses network-based tools, apps like Obsidian or Roam Research, or even Notion if you set it up a specific way. These tools allow you to link individual notes directly to each other, creating a web of ideas.
Can you give us a really concrete example of that? Because
Yes.
linking notes can sound a bit abstract if you've never used one of those tools.
Sure. Let's say you have been tasked with writing a presentation on team morale. In a normal system, you open a blank Word document and you just stare at the blinking cursor. It is terrifying. You have to invent everything from scratch.
Oh yeah, blank page syndrome. It's the worst.
Exactly. But if you have a Dumbledore system in place, you do not start from scratch. You go to your app and you search your own database for the word motivation. And because you have been capturing and syncing with Readwise for months or years, up pops a quote from a psychology book you read last year. And because of how you linked it, that quote connects to an article about Navy SEAL training you saved in Instapaper. And linked to that is a random shower thought you recorded about gamifying chores.
Wow. So you aren't really writing at that point. You are assembling.
You are having a conversation with your past self. All those things you consumed, Hermione captured them, and now Dumbledore helps you connect them in novel ways. You are leveraging what the source calls the compound interest of your knowledge.
The compound interest of knowledge. I love that framing so much because usually information depreciates, right? You learn it for a test or a project, and then you just slowly forget it. This system makes your knowledge appreciate in value over time.
It turns your passive notes into an active generator. You aren't just thinking about your notes, you are thinking with them. It reveals connections that you would never have seen with your biological brain alone, simply because your biological brain cannot hold 500 disparate ideas in working memory at the exact same time. The software system can.
That is the absolute dream, isn't it? To sit down to write a newsletter or create a pitch deck and feel like you have a whole team of past versions of yourself just handing you brilliant material.
It completely transforms the creative process from a painful struggle into a reliable flow state.
But, okay, I want to play devil's advocate for just a second here. This sounds like a ton of work. Setting up Readwise, syncing it to Obsidian, managing tags, learning bidirectional linking. Is the return on investment really there for the average person?
It is front-loaded work. I will not lie to you about that. It absolutely takes time and effort to set up the pipes, but the ultimate payoff isn't just more output at work. The real payoff is the cure for that low-level anxiety we talked about at the very beginning.
That phrase really hits hard.
It should. Most of us walk around every single day with this constant draining background hum. What am I forgetting? Did I reply to that client? Where is that tax file? I know I read an amazing stat about this topic, but I can't find it. That chronic anxiety literally burns glucose. It makes you physically and mentally tired.
So at the end of the day, the system isn't actually about being a perfectly optimized productivity robot. It is about trust.
Exactly. When you completely trust your system, when you know for a fact the calendar has the appointment, the task manager has the chore, and the Dumbledore layer holds your insights, your biological brain can finally exhale. You can actually be in the moment. You can sit at that Friday night dinner and just enjoy your friends without a background process scanning for danger.
You can reclaim those type 1 activities.
Yeah.
Real creativity, genuine joy, actual presence.
That is the whole point of all of this. We build the system so we can transcend the system. We do not want to spend our precious lives managing software apps. We want the apps to manage the noise so we can actually go live our lives.
So for everyone listening right now who might be feeling a little overwhelmed by all these apps and layers, you do not have to go build Dumbledore today. You do not need to download Obsidian and learn Markdown language in the next hour.
No, please don't do that. You will just get so much more overwhelmed. Start with Ron, and specifically, just start with the calendar.
Just that one single rule.
Just that one rule. If it is not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. Try implementing just that for 1 week. Block out your deep work, block out your fun, block out your commute time. Just see how much quieter your head feels when you aren't trying to mentally juggle your daily schedule.
And then once you trust the calendar, maybe you tackle the inbox and then the notes. It's totally iterative.
Exactly. Build the foundation first.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We started today with the idea that the brain is for having ideas, not for storing them. But I want you to honestly audit your own mental energy today.
It's a great exercise.
Ask yourself, how much of your daily finite energy is currently being spent just trying to hold on to information? Is it 20%? 50%? Are you walking through life running on half power just because you are using your brilliant brain as a temporary sticky note?
Imagine what you could do, what massive problems you could solve, or even just what fun you could have if you got all that energy back.
It is a resource you really can't afford to keep wasting. Thanks for diving in with us. Go build your system, start with Ron, and we will see you in the next deep dive.
See you then.